Once upon a time, I was really terrible with my money, and now I have a platform of almost 200,000 people teaching the basics of financial literacy. So here are 5 of the major things that I stopped doing when I decided to become financially literate. 1, I stopped forgetting to make returns. In college, I was so bad about placing a gigantic order of clothing, only liking about half of them and then never returning the other half. Clothes would sit in the bags in my room for months until I could no longer return them, and then I would put them into my closet because I couldn't return them. Now, even if it's a $10 shirt that I need to return, I will return it. 2, I stopped running to Target as a hobby. I no longer spend my Saturdays browsing the aisles of Target, spending upwards of $200 on stuff that I do not need. 3, I stopped buying a new outfit for every single event. I'm using the term event very loosely here because I would buy a new outfit for every single time that I needed to leave the house. Thought that I needed a new black bodysuit to go to the same dive bar in Southside every single weekend. Now, one thing that really helps me with this is I rent a lot of my clothes that I know I'll only wear one time on a clothing rental subscription called Fashion Pass. So when I have actual events that I need to go to that I don't have an outfit for, I can rent it instead of buy everything new. 4, I stopped spending so much money on house decorations, but also hosting. In college, I had 2 roommates and we loved having people over, no matter if it was a 30-person party or just a get together with a couple of friends. But we always went all out and decorated our apartment for it, and then made a ton of food. I would spend hundreds of dollars on the weekends just grabbing things for these random get-togethers. Now, Zach and I definitely still have people over all the time, but we're just mindful about what we're spending on these types of things. And 5 is probably the most important. I stopped only tracking my spending up until the point in the month where I went over my budget. In college, every single month I would have really good intentions. I would set up my budget and then I would track my spending, but then once my spending got a little out of control that month, I'd be oh, screw it, I'll just try again next month. Because I was obviously spending well out of my means and I was embarrassed to see what that number would actually end up to be at the end of the month. Now, even if I'm spending over my budget, I'm still just pushing through it. I'm tracking it every month and I'm at least knowing what those numbers are at the end of each month. What are some things that you stopped doing when you decided to become financially literate?